Welcome back to the channel. A couple of weeks ago, there was an official hire in the MCU associated with the upcoming Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania movie that got people speculating that perhaps this actor would be portraying Reed Richards in the MCU, being introduced in the Ant-Man and the Wasp sequel. I was going to cover it, but there really just isn't any information out there, and it was just kind of all speculation. And really, at this point, we don't know much about the Kang in the MCU. Certainly in the comic books, Kang is related to Reed Richards and possibly Doom, or possibly the same person. When you read Marvel comics and it comes to Kang, it's a tough nut to crack as far as what the character is and where they came from. But recently, one of the viewers reached out to me and said, I was researching Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. I searched for the cast, and actually under Jonathan Majors, who portrays Kang in the MCU, introduced in Loki, it didn't say Kang the Conqueror anymore. It actually said Nathaniel Richards. And after that, that has been removed and it's back to Kang the Conqueror. Unfortunately, this person did not screenshot that, but it got me thinking. And really, with some of the information that we've received over the last few weeks, I think it's something that we have to consider that this might be true. And if you really think about it, is likely true within the Marvel Comics universe. Kang the Conqueror is traditionally related to Reed Richards, the leader of the Fantastic Four. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the character Kang is portrayed by Jonathan Majors, a black actor, so it would kind of make sense that Reed Richards himself would be black. And we also recently got that insider information regarding the casting of the X-Men that they're looking into, that there are likely to be a lot of race swaps of white characters in the future in the MCU. So it kind of makes sense. This is all coming out of a recent Variety article which reported the Good Place actor William Jackson Harper is in the upcoming Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania film, which will open in theaters on February 17th, 2023. The outlet says the role is a closely guarded secret, which could mean a prominent role for all of the MCU or a clever misdirect. Little else was revealed in the story, with Marvel refusing to comment on the casting. What's interesting to note about the casting announcement itself is principal photography of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania has been done for quite some time. Obviously, the movie is only coming out in a few months at this point, and while William Jackson Harper is likely not a household name, he is an award-winning actor with some notoriety, and you would imagine that the actor coming into the MCU would be portraying a prominent role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe moving forward. And it kind of makes sense that they announced it after principal photography was done, that perhaps he was a late addition, an after-credit reveal of a big character. That's something Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios have done in the past. If you think about the introduction of Thanos and some other key characters, probably no character quite as big as Reed Richards. Although, didn't they hint at Thor being in the MCU by showing his hammer like stuck in the ground and nobody could move it before we actually saw anyone ever actually portray Thor in the MCU itself? I think that actually happened. So there absolutely is precedence for this. Although there are a lot of naysayers, it did get people talking. After Variety published the story, Marvel fans on social media began speculating that Harper might play Reed Richards, the genius leader of the Fantastic Four who can stretch his anatomy. Adding fuel to the speculative fire is that Jonathan Majors is playing Kang the Conqueror, primed to be the next major villain of the MCU for the 2025 movie Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. In comics lore, Kang hails from the future and is a distant descendant of Reed Richards. He gets his human name, Nathaniel Richards, from Reed's father. There are strong suspicions that Harper may be his ancestor, and therefore the first known actor starring in 2025's Fantastic Four. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has wasted a lot of goodwill over the years, and really, we're not going to see the X-Men for quite some time just because of contractual statuses. They might be in development, but they won't be in production for quite some time. We're going to see the Fantastic Four much sooner than the X-Men, and this is a really big opportunity for Kevin Feige and the MCU to make some noise, establish some more goodwill, get people happy with the MCU again, by introducing the Fantastic Four and really opening up a whole world of possibilities within the MCU. The problem being is we've had so many events within the MCU itself, it's kind of hard to explain where the hell the Fantastic Four have been if they've been there the whole time. And my assumption is, after seeing how people responded to the explanation of why the Eternals have always been here but never decided to fight like Thanos or anybody like that, that they're going to do something a little bit smarter with the Fantastic Four, i.e. they're lost, perhaps in the quantum realm, which is being introduced in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, there is a Reddit post that does contradict this and claims they know the actual role William Jackson Harper is playing. According to a leak on the Marvel Studios Spoilers Reddit, William Jackson Harper is playing a mind-reading leader of the quantum people. It's further said he has an assistant who is described as a little guy with a goo head in a glass helmet. Think of the aliens from Jimmy Neutron. And that very well may be the role that the actor is actually portraying within Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And also, we do have to keep in mind that the Fantastic Four are a big deal. When they introduce them, I imagine they're going to want a lot of people talking about it as an end credit scene in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which likely isn't to be a huge box office. Ant-Man didn't make a lot of money. Ant-Man and the Wasp didn't make a lot of money in comparison to the other MCU movies at the time. Do they want to waste that bullet on that movie? Although, if people get word that Reed Richards is going to make his first appearance in the MCU in the end credit scene, for some people, that would be more of a reason to actually go to the theater and really juice up the box office, which has not been great as of late for the MCU. We shall see what happens with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever this weekend, although they are expecting an enormous opening box office. But long-term, the predictions and models are suggesting that the sequel may only make like half as much in box office revenue as the original movie. Kind of makes sense. You don't actually have the Black Panther there. I don't think that's going to go over well with people, although the reviews are in, and some people really seem to like Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. With everything involving the Fantastic Four bound to generate headlines, it's obvious why Marvel wouldn't just announce Harper as Mr. Fantastic in a Thursday night news dump. The casting of a major character like Richards is something Marvel would save as a surprise in its movies or announce on stage at Comic-Con. With the last Marvel project of 2022 being November's The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special on Disney+, it's understandable Marvel wants to wait until the new year before making an epic resolution. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is something I was going to cover, but then I was like, I don't really feel like there's anything there. But once you start putting the pieces together, the accidental release out that King the Conqueror's real name is Nathaniel Richards, like in the comic books, tying that character into Reed Richards, and obviously the race swap of King the Conqueror, makes sense they would do this with the character themselves. We've had the insider report stating lots of race swaps happening in the MCU moving forward. And we also know Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios, need to introduce the Fantastic Four somewhere. They're not just going to wait for the movie to come out. They are going to have a cameo somewhere. They're going to show up in an end credit scene, or perhaps a bigger cameo tying into a movie that's really going to generate interest and buzz regarding the Fantastic Four, which is coming out in the not too distant future. If I had to put money on it, I would say I'm like 65% that this is likely correct. They're being very guarded about it. They don't want to announce who the actor is actually portraying, and the timing of the reveal of the hire for the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie is certainly suspicious. It feels like they might have hired him after principal filming was complete as a cameo to introduce the character, who will in fact likely be related to King the Conqueror, who is an enormous part moving forward for the MCU in phase 5 and 6, and they got all those plans coming out. I mentioned earlier that there was an insider talking about expecting race swaps within the MCU, specifically with the X-Men, but I do expect it in the Fantastic Four as well. If you don't have this information or you'd like more information on that, I made this full video on it, talking all about it. Definitely check this out. I made this video directly for you. If you don't see it here, there's also a link in the video description.